Everyone, and thanks so much for attending our dental webinar today. We're here with Matthew Kobach, the CEO and co-founder of Social Research Strategies. If you have any questions during the webinar, please type them in the chat box or use the hashtag SMDentist on social media. Okay, Matthew, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you so much, Sarah. So the title of this webinar is Everything You Always Wanted to Know about social media for dentists, but we're afraid to ask. And a little bit more about myself so you understand my background in this is I'm a PhD candidate at Indiana University, and I've spent the past several years trying to figure out how businesses can best use social media. And through this, it's led to the co-founding of Social Research Strategies, and one of the areas that we specialize in is creating engaging content and social media profiles for dentists. So in this webinar, I'm going to discuss several things, and the first of which is why a strong social media presence is necessary. If you're attending this or watching this on recording, it's likely that you already understand that you need a strong social media presence. But unless you understand why this presence is necessary, you won't be able to fully maximize your social media. Next, we're going to talk about the basics of a great profile. And what's nice about social media now is a lot of the different social media platforms, so Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, they have all made it so their profiles all look relatively the same. Most have a cover photo, most have a profile picture. So I'll use Facebook as an example, but they're applicable to pretty much any social media platform. The next thing I'm going to cover is how to post awesome content. And this is by far the thing that not only dentists, but any business struggles with the most on social media. It's easy to make one great piece of content, but it's hard to do it time and time and time again. And so I will tell you some of the strategies and show you specific examples of some of the content that we have helped dentists create. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of doing your social media yourself or hiring an outside firm like Social Research Strategies or Digital Sherpa. So I'm going to begin by discussing the importance of social media. The first reason it's important is that it humanizes your company, your practice. And the reason this is important is this is especially essential for dentists and really any doctors, because that relationship between you and the patient is one that you really need to show them who you are. And this is the case more so than any other brand, than normal brands. People want to do business with other people. So humanizing your practice gets potential patients interested, engaged, connected, and it looks like you go the extra mile. You get a chance to be authentic. You can be real. You can be you. This is because people are not necessarily cognitively designed to interact with technology, brands, practices, all this stuff. Now, we certainly can, but we use these cognitive mechanisms that are designed to communicate with other humans. So that means by default, people are going to treat your social media presence, your brand, like another person. And the more you're able to humanize it, the more natural this is going to feel. If you understand that people interact face-to-face, you will understand how they interact with your company's social media or your practice's social media. Next is expertise. And the reason expertise is important is you can use your social media to position you as an industry expert. And as a dentist, as anyone in the medical profession, you want to be seen as an expert. You want to give potential clients or potential patients and current patients every reason to think that you know absolutely everything there is to know about your area of expertise. Your social media presence positions you as an easily accessible industry expert. Sharing your expertise with your fans positions you as a cutting-edge leader in your field. And additionally, it establishes trust between you and your fans or followers. You want to freely share your relevant expertise. And if you do so, fans will look to you when they need their questions answered, or the products or services that might go along with your practice. The more information you share with your fans, the more you will be thought of as a thought leader and an expert in your field. The next reason social media is important is loyalty. You are able to cultivate loyalty between your practice and current fans. A strong social media presence promotes this loyalty. Through the posting of engaging content, current fans become more passionate about your company and the brand and your practice. When they engage with your content, it increases the chances that potential patients will see these loyal customers interacting with your pages or with your content. And further, this increased loyalty means increased word of mouth, both online and offline. If you can create passion in your patients and loyalty, they will tell their friends about you, which leads to the next reason it's important is fresh. You want to stay fresh in the minds of your clients. A new, consistent, high-quality content keeps your practice fresh in the minds of your current customers and potential customers. This means that as a dentist, odds are you don't see someone unless it's a medical emergency once but every 6 months. But by creating content that hits these people, that hits your current clients over and over and over, increases the chance that they then tell their friends about your practice, and you're establishing a relationship with them that, again, always increases the chances of word of mouth, which social media, unlike any other advertising platform, increases the chance of word of mouth. Further, another reason that this is important is that the more active you are, the higher Google ranks your own social media pages. So if you're posting a lot of content, getting a lot of interaction, it boosts the SEO, which is the search engine optimization, increasing the chances that you are more likely to be found if someone is Google searching in your area. Another reason is professional. So your social media reflects your brand, your practice, and you want to make certain that your social media accurately portrays your company, your brand, your practice. All too many practices fail to develop a social media marketing strategy, or even worse, hand over their social media to someone who is unqualified, such as an employee or an intern. And for the record, this is something that we tell all clients. Having a lot of Facebook friends, really liking Instagram, sending over 30,000 tweets does not qualify you as someone capable of running a social media marketing strategy. All it means is that person likes social media. It would be no different than if you hired someone who really likes television to make you a television commercial. Instead, you want to make sure that either you or someone is properly trained in how to do this. A professional tone is best created through a well thought out and executed social media marketing plan. This includes knowing what you're going to post ahead of time. The creation of professional looking content. One of my biggest pet peeves is going to a business's or a dentist or really any entity, going to their Facebook page and seeing photos that are horribly sized, that are blurry, that are cropped, that just look unprofessional. Because what happens is when I go there, if I already have a relationship with that dentist or that company, odds are it's not going to do that much damage. But if this is my first introduction to your practice, an unprofessional tone is going to start me off on the wrong foot. And the last and most important reason that social media is important is the ROI, the return on your investment. So an integrated social media strategy across multiple platforms builds loyalty and trust among your current and potential customers, which in turn increases the likelihood and opportunity that they purchase your product or see you or use you as a doctor and recommend to their friends. Social media humanizes your brand, it establishes relationships that are unparalleled, and the proper social media marketing strategy creates advocates for your practice, increasing word of mouth. Additionally, if you are looking to do paid advertising, Facebook advertising has more access to their user demographics than any other platform. It knows what they're interested in. It knows their sex, age, relationship status. It knows purchasing behavior. Facebook goes beyond just the information you give them. If you're logged on to Facebook and doing something, Facebook knows this and they sell this information to people like you. You can target, if you are a pediatrician dentist, you can target new moms with a specific message. You can target new fathers with a specific message. You can target people who have insurance, who do not have insurance. And by creating these ads that are so niche, you can better appeal to those demographics, increasing the chance that they see you as someone that they trust, that they want to work with, that they will go to, that they will send their kid to. All right, so we've covered why social media is important. So let's go over the basics. First thing you're going to want to have is a cover photo and profile picture. This is an example of an actual client of ours. And as you see here, so on the left you see the profile picture, and the main image is the cover photo. So one thing that we go for is emotional. We want the cover photo to have, or when a person views a cover photo, have some sort of emotional reaction to it. We want them to feel something. If you have a boring cover photo, you're not going to have that emotional reaction. As you can see here, we have a young child, very close up, that's very purposeful, and he's in the dentist chair, and he's happy. I mean, this is all very well choreographed. Next is you want to make sure it's relevant. I should be able to know exactly what you do by looking at your cover photo and profile picture. If I do not understand this, you must adjust both or one or the other. Here you can tell that it is a child's dentist. There is a child in a dentist seat opening his mouth. It couldn't be more clear. Next thing you want to make sure is that you have a clear logo. So most social media platforms, the profile picture is a square. So that means you're going to have to make sure that your image is a square. Now, you don't have to have your logo a square, but when you upload it, Facebook's going to crop it, resize it, and you lose kind of some of that control. So make sure that when you upload it, you're uploading a square image. And you paid a lot of money for your logo. Your logo is your brand. It's your practice. It's how people associate you. So it only makes sense to use your logo. Next is professional, and this comes with this is achieved through, again, good high quality pictures, something that looks like you spent some time doing, something that's, well lit. This isn't a picture that was taken from a cell phone. This is an image that you took some time to make. You'll see fun here, and fun is actually interchangeable. So the adjective you want here is what separates your practice from other similar practices. So the example here is that she sees herself as fun. Her practice is it's literally a jungle in there. It's a beach. It's designed to make it so kids have fun at the dentist. So we added that by a simple addition of color. And then lastly, we humanize it. That's the primary dentist, and so we have her image up there. And so that when you go there, you see her, you see that it's fun, you see that it's professional, you know exactly what they're doing. What I'd like to do now is show you an example of a bad cover photo and profile picture. So we start with an unclear logo. If you can see, very, very hard to tell, but in the upper right, you can kind of see their logo. There's a picture of their building. Now, they have a logo. You can see the logo, but they're not using it. It makes what their profile picture is unclear. And what's even worse is when they post stuff, the profile picture comes up. They don't necessarily see the cover photo, so that's another reason why the logo is so important. And it's very tiny. So if they're posting and I'm looking at my newsfeed and I see that, yeah, I see their name, but the picture is just going to be kind of a small blur of gray as opposed to reinforcing their logo and all the content that they post that then is associated with their logo. Another issue here is unbalance. Now, you don't have to be a professional photographer to understand balance, but the way this works is you can see how everything is flushed to the left. And when you do this, it just makes a less aesthetically pleasing whole package to look at. So it'd make more sense if the flower was positioned on the right. So there's a sense of there's some information on the left, some information on the right, and that there's not too much information on either side. But with that said, the flower is a horrible picture anyways. The flower is completely irrelevant to what they do. If I looked at this, or when I looked at this, I mean, I knew it was a dentist, but I wouldn't know what they do. It's tough to figure out. My gut would tell me almost that maybe it's a gardener or something. So the picture might be beautiful. You might have taken it. It might be right in front of your office. But if it doesn't convey what you do, then it's probably not appropriate for your cover photo. So a bad page, I just want to go over again why having a page look bad, why this is essential to avoid. It's a poor reflection of your brand. it doesn't accurately portray what you do. It doesn't accurately portray your practice. It can have little or even a negative effect on potential clients or patients. And the reason this could be the case is that if you're posting stuff that if you don't have a well thought out social media marketing plan, you could be posting stuff that actually harms your brand. You also are missing out on opportunities to engage. If you're if you don't really have an inviting landing page, if you're not posting content that's getting people to talk, then you're losing a chance to interact with them. And that's what really is wonderful about social media. And it's really efficient at creating these relationships and really creating this loyalty. Further, it's wasted time and money. Even if you spend an hour a month on your social media, which is far too little, but if you're doing it wrong, you're wasting that hour a month. And if you're paying an employee to do it that doesn't know what they're doing, you're wasting your money paying that employee. And then lastly, it just looks unprofessional, and it just feels unprofessional. And the last thing you want to do is have any association between your practice that you have put an immense amount of money, time, effort, passion behind to have someone think that it's unprofessional. But, so now that these are bad page, how do you avoid these pitfalls? And the answer is you need to develop a social media marketing strategy. So what this entails is you want to know what you are posting before you post it. You should have it planned out. You should know on Mondays what you're going to post. You should know on Tuesdays what you're going to post. You should have tweets planned out. You should have blog posts planned out. You can do spur of the moment posting, but it should not be what your social media marketing strategy is predominantly made up of. And then when you're posting stuff, you should know why you're posting it. Every post that we make for a client has a specific purpose. That purpose might be to show off a new product. That purpose might be to differentiate themselves from the local competition. It might be to instill passion. And then lastly, know how your post is representing your brand. So if your brand is a little fun, or if your practice is a little more fun, your post can be a little more fun. Perhaps you're the dentist that is the most technologically advanced in the area. That's what separates you. Then your posts should be about, or you should dedicate some of your posts to latest technological advances, and you should frame them in a way that makes people excited and engaged to talk about them. Your posts and how they represent you are going to be determined on how you see your own brand. Okay, so we know why social media is important. We have the basics covered, but now we've got to create content. You've got to create a lot of it. And so here are some examples of content we've created, and more importantly, they're guidelines for how to create further content. So one thing you want to do is, on very rare occasions, you're not gonna post a photo. That means most posts are gonna include an image. And when you include an image, you're gonna want to make sure that it's properly sized. Don't make it too small. It'll be blurry. And make sure that it's not too wide or too tall. You just want to make sure, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to make sure it's a high quality photo. And you want to make sure that it's emotional, that it resonates. And additionally, include your logo on these photos. When you're making your own content and doing this, you want to really strengthen the association between really good content and your brand. And that's the end goal here, is to make it so that when you post social media content, it's an extension of your practice. And a very effective way to do that is to include your logo, to make sure that whatever good feeling that the social media user got from seeing your content is better associated with your brand. One of the best things that you can do is offer advice. This is very simple advice here. That I assume most dentists agree with, but if it's sticky, it's icky, meaning that gummy candies have or get caught in your teeth more and lead to tooth decay more. And so what you do is an image as simple as this, where you have the text above it that, you know, it could be the tip from Dr. Steve today, the tip from Dr. Smith, whatever it is, and have just a brief explanation of why this is the case. Make it so that you're adding value to their day, so that maybe if they don't even necessarily like it, they're at least seeing it, and they're at least then associating that expertise, that value with you and your brand. Another thing you want to do, as you saw also in the first example with the tooth fairy, is you want to get people engaged. You want to get people talking. Now, asking the right question is an art. It 100% is. And this might not be the best example of a question, but it's an image I like that we created for a client. And it was, and I actually, we did it instead of asking about, I think we edited the question a little bit. It wasn't about what was your favorite flavor toothpaste, but it was something along the lines of if your kid had to have one flavor toothpaste, something along those lines. But what we do is we make the question very easy to answer. We make the image very appealing. I mean, I would like to think this image kind of jumps out at you. It's very clear, and the response is it's very easy to respond. It doesn't take a lot of effort to type in bee. It doesn't take a lot of effort to say peppermint. And so what this does is when the reason you're asking questions on your social media is that it increases engagement. And what increasing engagement means is that Facebook will then show more people your content. Facebook works in a way that there's three major components to decide what it shows people in their timeline. Because you can have fans that follow you, and Facebook won't necessarily show them the content. And the three criteria are time. So if a post is more than 24 to 48 hours old, it's not going to show up in a timeline. Other one is past behavior. So if you interact with a brand or even a person a lot, you're more likely to see them. One of the funniest kind of anecdotes I have is I have friends who complain about someone they're friends with on social media. They're just like, oh, I saw Jamie's posting and it just made me so mad. She posts such horrible stuff. I just can't stand it. And what they don't realize is the reason they keep seeing that person's stuff is because they click on it every time. And businesses work in the same way. So if you can create high quality content that people keep clicking on it, they comment on it, they share on, then they're more likely to see your next post. And lastly, the more engaging it is, the more popular it is. So if you have a post that a lot of people are commenting on, a lot of people are sharing, a lot of people are liking, then it's more likely that your fans and non-fans will see it as well. So that's why if you can ask good questions, if you can get people to share, that's why that's important. And again, you have to create a lot of content. You have to create content. And one of the things that we do is we try to create inspiring content, stuff that gets people to like it, stuff that gets people to share it. And this content isn't really that difficult to create. And what's wonderful about dentists is that there are a million quotes about smiling. You can even make up your own quotes about smiling. And you can use that every Monday. You can post an inspiring quote about smiling big, about being happy, about whatever it is. You're only limited by your own creativity to write these quotes or your own ability to go find them. And then lastly, this is the most important thing that you can do. And this is literally a screenshot from a client that I want to show because this is something that was very successful. You want to share your passion for what you do, and you want to thank your customers. And we did that twice here. And you can see how many people saw this, how many people liked it, how many people shared it. And all we did was they recently hit the 1,000 fan milestone. And so we wrote this message. My goal is to put a smile on the face of every child that comes into Fisher's Pediatric Dentistry. It means the world to me that I am fortunate enough to do something that I am so passionate about, and I couldn't do it without each and every one of you. This was heartfelt. This was something that she wrote for us that then we put together like this. And not only did we get all these likes, we got approximately 30 to 45 new likes with this, without promoting it, without anything. This is people. What we're doing is we're giving fans a platform to share their passion for her practice. And when we do that, when you make content that people then can get behind, that's what gets them inspired. That's what gets them passion. That's what gets them telling their friends, oh, you have a new daughter, you have to take her here. You have a new son, you have to take him here. You're not really happy with your current pediatric dentist? Let me tell you about mine. That's what this kind of stuff does. All right, so let's move on to Twitter. So Twitter is best used to share your expertise. Now you can also use it to, which is essentially to inform people. You can also use it to entertain, but that's a little trickier. And unless you're kind of a stand-up comedian, it might be tough to come up with punchline after punchline. So what I suggest is that you come up with, you have a list. I mean, you're the expert, so you know a lot of information. So you should schedule your tweets. This means that you will keep a consistent Twitter presence, and you can go on. There's several that do it for free. It's not hard to find. You can Google it. There's no point me even suggesting one or the other, but go and just start tweeting little bits of information that people can find useful. Another great thing you can do on Twitter is you can search out people with dental related issues as long as they're tweeting about it. So one thing that you could do is you can go to Twitter, you go to their advanced search, you put in whatever area that you live in or that you operate in, and start searching whatever you think potential patients would be tweeting. So for example, tooth hurts, toothache, wisdom tooth, cavity, whatever it is. And when you find these people, I cannot stress this enough, do not sell to them. If you say, oh, your tooth hurts, you need to come into my office, you are going to come off as spam, and you will lose so much credibility. What you want to do is help them, empathize with them. So if you know how to fix, if they're having a tooth pain right now, and you know how they can be slightly relieved, offer them that advice. Tell them, I'm so sorry your tooth hurts. Hopefully you're getting it fixed at ASAP. The reason you do this is you then you gain a reputation for an expert who cares. It's not about getting new patients, it's about making people feel better. And that is the kind of reputation that then leads to more clients, which leads to word of mouth, which leads to more clients. That's how you want to be seen. So you can use Twitter as a way to share your expert advice, to find people who need your expert advice, and then to help them. That's going to be the most effective way that you use Twitter. Next is blogs. So we're going to cover Facebook, Twitter, and blogs, and that's it. I think those are the three that are the most beneficial for dentists. And writing a blog. So again, writing a blog lets you share your expertise, much like Twitter. And the reason I think a blog is actually important is it works kind of twofold. So you write a blog, and then it works as content for Facebook. So if you write a blog once a week, now Sunday night is whenever you post your blog. On Twitter, and then this also redirects people to your website, reinforcing your brand. So you have a collection of information on your own website, gets people going there. Another important thing to do is you can then, or another reason why a blog is worth it, is that you can rework this blog content into tweets. For my company, for Social Research Strategies, we literally get our tweets from our blogs. We write a blog post, and if it did well, we then look through every sentence, and if there is an essential piece of information in that sentence, we turn it into a tweet, and we schedule our tweets for months in advance. And we make sure that everything is offering just a little nugget of information. And this way, when we write a blog, it works as content we post on Twitter. It works as content we post on Facebook. And it works as individualized tweets. So the effort isn't just one. The effort ends up having somewhat of a snowball effect that it works for multiple social media platforms. And then lastly, when writing a blog, the information in the blog is going to be equally as important as the title. You wanna write a title for the blog that just people cannot help but click. And so I brought a few examples of our own blog, of Social Research Strategies blogs that were successful. And you can see here the title, 10 real-world examples for how to successfully post social media content. I really like numbers. It lets people know what to expect. It lets people know that this isn't an essay, this isn't a master's thesis. This is, all right, I can look at one. If I don't like one rule, I can move on to the next. It gives, when people know what to expect, they're more likely to click. By stressing real-world examples, that was a post in the social media world that kind of stood out because a lot of the advice on social media websites is somewhat abstract. You don't really apply it to anything. Another example is 15 ways to win fans and influence followers. If you're familiar with Dale Carnegie, you know how to win friends and influence people. And so we use that. So to kind of take something, to take a popular idea already, or a popular title that you can then work into your own thing, it builds familiarity. People are already familiar with that concept, so to apply to social media, it made a lot of sense to click. 8 ways you can become a social media rock star. You want to dramatize your ideas, make them sound awesome, make them, I mean, you almost have to over-deliver. Your goal, you've got to stand out in a sea of noise. When people log on to Facebook, there are, on average, 1,500 stories competing for their attention, and they only see some of them. And if you can't get them to click, you've just lost the chance for them to see your brand, to get that information and all that stuff. And then the last one, 5 ways to get Facebook fans without actually paying Facebook. And this, we tried to use an image that was somewhat emotional, evoking, resonating, and stuff. So when you write these blog posts, again, I really recommend numbers. You don't have to be a slave to numbers. But again, dramatize them. Use familiar stuff. Make it so that people know what to expect, but don't give away the meat of the actual post. All right. So you know it's important. You know how to create a social media profile, you know how to use Twitter, you know how to create content, you know how to write a blog. Now it gets down to, should you do this yourself or should you hire a social media marketing firm? And there are clearly pros and cons to each. I'm not here to sell you on one or the other. I'm here to just give you the information on why you should do one over the other, what the advantages and disadvantages of one over the other are. So one, some things you're going to have to consider. Do you have the time to implement a social media marketing strategy? It takes time. You're going to have to post stuff every day. You're going to have to write blogs. You're going to have to tweet. You're going to have to respond to people. You're going to have to search out these people to have conversations with. And then you're going to have the know-how. Are you dedicated to learning the ins and outs of social media? What strategies work best? What posts work best? Are you going to have the know-how to know what is actually working, what's not working? Conversely, if you're going to hire a firm, do you have the budget for it? It's not cheap. This isn't something that, it's not something that is inexpensive. It's worth it, but it's something that's going to cost your practice money. So the pros and cons of doing it yourself. So one of the biggest pros is that no one knows your practice better than you. So that means that even if you explain it to a social media marketing firm, you know what's going on a day-to-day basis. You know the doctors, you know the patients, and similarly, you have constant access to your facility. So that means if something's happening spur of the moment, which leads to the next one, if something happens, you can post about it immediately. Now, you should have, stuff planned, but if something comes up, if, in your local area, your sports team just won and you want to piggyback that goodwill, you could make a post because everyone at your practice today wore, whatever the home team is gear. You get better access to that if you do it yourself. And probably the most important is you can respond directly to patients. So what we do, so if you're doing it yourself, there's no lag between when someone asks a question, when someone asks a question and when you answer it. The only lag is if you when you can actually get on it. And for most social media marketing firms, if there's patient asking questions, they're gonna bring that to your attention and let you deal with it directly if it's something that they're not comfortable answering. The cons are that it's very time consuming. My guess is you did not get into your profession to do social media. You got into your profession because you are passionate about making people's lives better. You're passionate about making people smile, passionate about teeth, whatever it is, odds are it was in social media. So you can spend more of your time doing what you love. The other con is there's a chance that you hurt the image of your practice. A professional is going to know what to post. They're going to know why they're posting it. They're going to make sure that nothing that goes on there damages the brand or the image or the practice in any way. Another thing too is it could be wasted effort. If you're putting a lot of effort and time into it but not seeing the results, odds are you're not really spending your time effectively. And it kind of goes back to the time-consuming thing. You want to be spending your time doing what you love. And then lastly, odds are you don't have the Photoshop skills or the digital image creation kind of stuff to really make professionally looking branded content. All right, so the pros and cons of hiring a firm are you get that professionally branded content. You're going to be able to have images that create emotional reactions in people that have your brand there, so then people associate your practice with that emotional response, with that passion. Again, I've already said this, but you get to spend more time doing what you love. You don't have to worry about this now. You let someone else do it, and you know that they're doing it right. Similarly, you don't have to hand it over to an unqualified employee. Giving someone your social media, or to giving a employee the responsibility of doing a social media, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're good at it or they know what they're doing. And then lastly, you can maximize every post. And if you're advertising, you can maximize your advertising dollar. And what this means is that when a social media marketing firm is creating a post for you, they know exactly why they're creating that post, and they're gonna. I labor over how to craft an image, over how to size it, over what text to put above it. And it's not just done with the hopes that it does well. It's done with, all right, this word is here because of this. This image is here because of this. And it's all very well thought out. And even more importantly, when we advertise, that is very well thought out. One thing that I cannot stress enough, if you are going to advertise, do not do it on your own. Even if you pay, it doesn't even matter to me if you use our service. You need to contact a social media advertising service so that you know how to properly do this, because you will waste money if you do not know what you're doing. So, but when done correctly, it is the most effective advertising that you can be a part of. You can, I mentioned this earlier, but you can create ads based on certain demographics and very, very specific demographics. And experienced ad creators can maximize the desired effect. So if you want to appeal to dads, they're going to help you make an ad that appeals to dads. If you want to appeal to someone who is in college and away from their primary dentist, they will know how to make that ad and maximize the efficiency of that ad. And most importantly, from the research that we've done, dentists are not yet fully taking advantage of social media advertising, which means that odds are in your area, you could be first out of the gate. A strong social media presence is something that will be ubiquitous soon enough, much like a website is. Now you have to have a website. If you don't have a website, odds are you're not going to get that many new patients. Soon, a strong social media presence will be that. And it is my opinion that many of these will then turn to social media marketing because of how cost effective it is and how narrowly you can target potential clients and customers and patients. The cons, it is more expensive. Assuming that you were doing it yourself, you now have to pay someone, you have to now pay a firm to do it. With that said, if you're paying an employee to do it, unless you can now allocate them or allocate the funds that you were paying them to something else. So expensive is based on how you are currently paying for it. And the other issue is it can be somewhat less authentic. Like I said in the first post, is that no one knows your practice better than you. And so what a social media marketing firm is going to do is they're going to listen to you. They're going to learn everything about their practice. They're going to visit it. They're going to talk to you about it. And they're going to try to come up with posts and work with you to create those authentic posts. But there is a chance that you lose some of that authenticity. So that is that's the conclusion of this. If you have any questions right now, you can tweet them to #socialmediadentist.
Yeah, Matthew, we do actually have some questions in the GoToMeeting. And first of all, thank you so much. That was great.
My pleasure.
So Ashley's asking, should dentists respond to bad online reviews or leave them be?
I am of the opinion to respond to every review.
Okay.
And not only respond to them, but don't delete them. If someone has a bad review, the idea is, or if someone posts a bad review, your goal should be to figure out why that you got that bad review, to address it, and to make sure that person knows that their concern is being heard, and that if you are lucky enough to get their service again, to have them as a client again, that you will do everything in your power. If you ignore them, I promise you they're never coming back, and they're telling everyone they know to never go back.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, another question we have is, do I have to put personal photos on Facebook, or can I use stock photos?
That is something that I've somewhat that I go back and forth on, and I use both. And I try to get stock photos that look authentic, that look real. I really like I think if you're going to err on one side or the other, it makes the most sense to err on actual images of your practice. And the reason this is because you want to have that authentic feel. And if you are, the more you can kind of remind people of how beautiful your practice is, or how technologically advanced you are, that's what seems to be what people really emotionally connect to.
Okay, that's a great point. Okay, and the last question we have today is, should my practice be on Google+? It's a good question.
That is a good question. I like that question. So right now, what I would do, here's my suggestion for Google+. I would first master what we covered today. Make sure that you are doing Facebook correctly. Make sure that you're doing Twitter correctly. Make sure that you are writing a blog. Once you are getting all those, then I would look into Google+. The reason I suggest this is it's better to be good at one, two, or three things than to be kind of bad at four, five, or six. And if you just have too many platforms, you might just stretch you or your employee too thin.
All right, I think that's a great answer, and thanks so much for being here today, Matthew. And if you're listening to this on demand, please tweet us questions at the hashtag SMDentist. Okay, thanks for attending, everyone.